I'm Mike.
I'm Jason.
Welcome to Snake Envy. So we were just at the Wasatch Reptile Expo this weekend here in Salt Lake City. And tell us a little bit about that expo, because you are a part of kind of getting that thing going with a friend of yours.
Guy vs. Lewis is a really good friend of mine. We've been friends since maybe 3 years old. We started Envy Reptiles together, actually, and we came up with a name. It was Nelson vs. Lewis, NV, the initials, and then we just turned it to NV Reptiles. And we started breeding snakes in the late 90s, and we wanted to mid-late 90s, and we wanted to get an expo here. We wanted something neat to happen around here, and no one was willing to do it. And Guy just took it on, and I didn't really have much to do with it, per se.
And how many years later is it now?
It's been, this fall.
Going on 25?
It'll be 24 this fall.
24 in the fall. But let's talk a little bit about expos in general, from our two different perspectives, from a breeder and a hobbyist. As a hobbyist, I always encourage people to go to expos. I personally think it's the best way to buy. We're fortunate that we live in a world where you can have just about anything shipped across the country or even across the world. But nothing replaces, talking to someone face to face and seeing an animal in person and being able to compare a couple of animals before you buy them. Websites are great, photos are great, but I love expos, and they're great even if you're not buying, just to go see the variety, get to see things that maybe you don't see all the time. I love them. How about from your perspective?
Well, as a breeder, I love them too. I like to just attend them sometimes as well, and it is a great place to go find something. You get to hand pick it, which is always a plus. You can see every individual. You can have your pick, the only drawback I would say is like some of the rarer stuff never makes it that far to expos. But I've seen some gems that I've ran across at expos, and I love it. And as far as vending, I love vending them. I kind of limit myself to about 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. I'm thinking of adding a few, but I like to keep it. I have a friend that does them every weekend, and it's a job.
Yeah.
And to me,
full time.
This is just a fun getaway, and hopefully make a few bucks. And but yeah, I don't do a ton of them because I don't want to get burned out on them. I want to keep them fun and exciting. So
yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about the part that we don't see as customers, the packing up, and particularly if you're traveling. I mean, talk to us a little bit about what goes into vending a show.
Well, yeah, I'll be attending Pomona this fall in August, late summer August, or like August, I guess.
Yeah.
But
and that's one of the super shows for the people
it's a
that
big
don't
show.
know.
It's kind of a big. It's a big deal.
Some would argue it's, if not the biggest, the second biggest show in the country. It's pretty much it and Tinley in Illinois. But some people say those two are probably the biggest there are.
Yeah. A show like that is, you gotta, there's a lot that can go into it, like, especially if it's early, and it will be early. I probably won't have all my snakes sexed out. Hopefully they've ate a few times. But you gotta go through and sex all your snakes. Then you gotta label and price them, and cup them up, and pack them up, and that's usually.
Do you have to Do you have to rent a trailer to go out there?
I don't. I got,
or rent a van.
I don't.
You don't. You use your truck.
But I pack light, and I have small snakes, so it's super easy.
Yeah.
But if I'm taking four or 500 snakes to Southern Cal, Pomona, it's like I'm looking at a day, almost a half day to a day packing up, and then you got to drive there.
Travel time from here.
And, you know, so you got your table fees, and you know, I usually get about 3 tables. It's like $600 to $700.
So $600 to $700 just to be there.
Yeah.
Then you've got gas there
Food,
and back, food,
housing,
hotel.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so, like, you're looking. I mean, I got to make $1,000 usually just to
break even.
Well, usually more than that, but
Well,
at least.
yeah.
But you know,
Minimum
you know, you got to make some money to
justify it.
And I went and did Vegas in September. It was a super show. It was the first show they'd done there. Great. They did great. It was, people came through the door. I sold one snake.
Yeah.
I sold one snake the last hour to a vendor.
Yeah.
And
I've heard rumors that show may or may not be back.
It won't. Not by them anyway. But yeah, you know, I lost money. I lost a lot of money on that trip.
Worst places to be though than Vegas.
Yeah, I mean,
although you're not out having fun,
I did have fun.
You're in the convention center. You probably had a little.
I had a little fun in the evenings, but not. You know, I didn't go party it up. But
yeah.
So yeah, and then to me, I like the worst part of it for me is coming home and unpacking and putting the animals away, and you're just tired after a long weekend, and that the unpack is probably the dreaded unpack.
That's the part you're not looking.
That's the part I don't love, but it's part of it. So.
But I think it's important for my side of it, the customer, the hobbyist, the pet owner, to understand that it's a ton of work to go vent an expo. It's not cheap. The Wasatch one that we were at this weekend is local, so that saves you a ton of money. And but still, it's a lot of work. And I think it's important that we remember as customers that all of that goes into it. And at the end of the day, yes, you guys are excited to talk to people and meet people, and that's fun for you, and to show off your animals and maybe educate people who are new to the hobby. I know that all of that is fun for you, but you're there to make money. You're there to sell snakes. And so let's talk a little bit about show etiquette. One thing I would say right off the bat, when I know for a fact I'm in an expo and I'm not going to buy from a particular breeder, but I'm excited to see something that they have there, and maybe it's a species I've always been curious about, maybe it's something I've never seen in person, and I find out somebody has it there, I want to go see it, I want to go check it out, I want to hold it. But I always tell them up front, I won't be buying. This isn't an animal I'm interested in terms of purchase, but I really want to see it. So I always just say, don't feel bad about brushing me off and go take care of the next person that walks up, because I won't be buying. And I think that's just polite. Let a breeder know up front, I'm not a customer, so don't feel bad at all about blowing me off when someone else walks up. And you were mentioning, if I'm that guy, also, you were saying something about be courteous and step away when
just step away off to the side. Don't be taking away viewing areas from potential customers. Really that's all I have. Like, I can't think of a lot. I go there with the positive attitude, and I do love talking shop and teaching people, and not just with the beginners, but even with the old timers, and I like it all the way around.
Tell a couple of the stories about the first ever Wasatch Expo here, which was 24 years ago. Some of the questions you got about snakes. The reptile hobby is huge in Utah right now. We talk about it all the time. It's massive, but back then, what were some of the...
like I remember when we first started, and it was just... And we didn't ever act together fully either, but I just, it's come a long ways since then. The people have learned a lot since then, and I used to get funny questions. Does this king snake eat crickets or lettuce, or you got a lot of funny stuff like that.
People thought they lived in those deli cups.
Yes, I had people get upset because the snake was in a little deli cup.
Yeah.
They thought they lived in those things, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's just temporary.
And that's interesting in a place like this. The hobby has grown up over the last 24 years.
People have got educated around here.
Yeah, and the expos play a big part in that because it's definitely more exciting to learn when you can go see it in person.
Yeah.
I always get a kick in expos of just, I have a thing for turtles and tortoises. I don't necessarily want to own them. They're a huge commitment in terms of time.
Yeah.
Some of them are a huge commitment in terms of space. But I'm always fascinated by them, and I love going to see them at expos. And you see all these turtles and tortoises from all over the world, and they have such great little personalities. So even though I'm not a customer, it's just fun to go learn about them. And, see things you wouldn't ordinarily see in person.
I still learn stuff. I learned about some geckos and some things this weekend. And
those little mini guys you were checking out.
I mean, I like that obscure stuff, but I still learn stuff all the time too. So
and it's probably fun for breeders too. I know you sold some snakes to a breeder. I saw that going on while we were there. Did you buy anything?
I did not buy anything this go around,
but you probably do from time to time.
Oh, definitely.
It's a great way.
Even in Vegas, where I didn't make any money, I still bought some snakes.
Yeah, so you actually lost money. Lost money being there, but that's all right.
Yeah,
those snakes are going to pay off for you later in time. The only other thing etiquette I wanted to ask you about etiquette-wise, from a hobbyist perspective, selfishly, one of the reasons I love going to expos is that you're typically able to get better deals. Typically the snakes are priced a little better at the expos because, like you're saying, you want to sell them and not bring them home. So typically they're priced to sell to begin with, and breeders are also typically willing to haggle a little bit. So I always tell people, particularly if you need an enclosure, you need accessories, you need all the stuff you're going to need to raise a snake. It's one-stop shop. But whether it's equipment or whether it's animals, you're not going to find a better deal than you are at an expo. You just aren't. But what's your opinion on haggling? I know you've said before, appreciate that there are some snakes that cost what they cost. There is a difference.
Yeah.
But what's your view on haggling and talking price?
I'm okay working. I always give deals. I mean, when I'm at an expo, I'm pretty competitive. More common stuff, I'm definitely gonna work with you on the price. Some of these rare stuff, it just is what it is, and you can ask, but
you can always ask.
You can always ask, and I'm not gonna get offended.
No.
But yeah.
But as a pet owner or a hobbyist, just appreciate, and we've talked about genetics and some of those things before. When an animal's label says it's het for this, het for that, and there's a long list of its traits, that's why the animal costs what it costs. And so just appreciate as a hobbyist or a pet owner that there are going to be some animals that cost what they cost, and there's a reason for that. And honestly, it might be another breeder that's most interested in those
usually
animals. And if you're a pet owner or a hobbyist like I am, it's only to a limited degree you even want to be interested in that. It's not worth paying up for those animals. You're going to find an animal that's just as good as a pet that's going to cost you less. So just know that some cost what they cost. You can ask, but there are going to be some that are off limits to bargaining, and that's how it should be. Anything else?
Not really. I think we covered everything. I mean, we got funny little stories, and
whether you're a buyer or a seller, just go with a good attitude, have fun. Expos are a great time, and I highly recommend that you shop that way if you can. Temperament is one of those things. I was going to mention that as well. When it's a Neo and you're looking at it at a show, the temperament at the show isn't necessarily, indicative of what they're going to be like as adults or even in a couple months. But it does make a difference when you got one snake out, you got another snake out, one is biting you constantly and musking, and the other one's pretty chill, pretty calm. It's great that you can see them side by side and, take the chiller one with you.
Yeah.
Leave that other one. So you do get some idea of what snakes are like when you can handle them in person and see them. And seeing a snake up close is always better than a photo. But definitely check out expos if you have one. I would even say it's worth a brief road trip.
Oh yeah, I used to.
You know.
I used to just drive to San Diego just to go to reptile shows.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then maybe get a little herp time in as well.
Make a weekend of it. Go herping. So definitely check out expos if you have them, and if you've ever wanted to go one and don't have local, it's worth going to. It's worth traveling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And in saying that, just research what shows are good and which ones are gonna.
Some are known.
Some are small, some are big, so they vary a lot.
A lot of times you can see a breeder list, a vendor list online ahead of time.
I do appreciate everybody that's come by and said hi, and I've met a lot of people and sold a lot of snakes at expos, and I really do appreciate that.
Yep, put a name to a face if nothing else.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.